It's 1992. I'm 11 years old, and Madi is 9 years old. I'm listening to Blind Melon's new song, No Rain. When I was in fifth grade, my younger sister Madi and I would walk home from the Woodrow Elementary School together. The elementary school day let out before the middle and high schools, so we normally didn't see other students on our way home. We had to walk across the Interstate 10 bridge to reach our house, which was on West Hermosa, which ironically means beautiful in Spanish. But there was nothing beautiful about my dead end street in San Antonio, Texas. We would always hold hands as we crossed the bridge, and it was my daily reminder that I was her big brother, a a good big brother always protected his little sister. On this day, from the moment the school bell rang, we knew something was wrong. Madi and I had walked home across the bridge more than 100 times. It was always empty, and all we could hear were the cars passing below. On this day, we saw something we had never seen before, a crowd of big kids. That's what we called the middle and high school students, and they were everywhere. As we approached the bridge, the big kids came up behind us as if they had decided to walk home with us that day. There must have been 50 guys around ahead of us and behind us. Madi squeezed my hand and whispered, Lencho, why are these big kids out? All I could say was, I don't know. As we walked up the bridge, we saw another 50 big kids coming from the other side of the bridge. I kept my head down and gripped Madi's hand tighter. We moved to the ledge to avoid getting swept up in the crowd. We were surrounded by the big kids, and they didn't notice us. I felt like we were two ghosts passing in between them, like they could have walked right through us if they had wanted. That is, if they had even noticed us. As we scurried home, all we could see were red wing cowboy boots, the $200 boots construction workers buy once every 10 years. I don't really know why I remember that detail. I think I was so afraid that I didn't want to look the big kids in the eye because I was staring down. All I could see were their shoes. We got to our front door. If an adult had been home, we would have been told to go inside. I knew we should have, but our curiosity was too strong. Madi and I stood on the step, still wearing our backpacks that were bigger than we were, and watched. We saw them gather and realized it was two massive groups of kids coming towards each other, and then they stopped. It was so insane. I wondered if they were filming a movie, but I quickly realized this was real. They all stood there still and quiet while it looked like a couple of them talked to each other. Then, as if lightning had struck, an explosion of fists, yelling, rushing. The bridge, which had chain-link fence covering the top and both sides, became the scene for a 100-man cage fight. Almost as soon as it started, a half-dozen cop cars pulled up on each end of the bridge, closing off any direct escape. The big kids then started to do things I didn't think were humanly possible. They jumped off the top of the bridge like comic book superheroes onto the access road below, and they ran and leaped over 6-foot fences to get away from the cops. The cops could only catch a fraction of these guys. As I watched, I thought, wow, that's the power of Red Wing boots. If I had Red Wing boots, I could do everything those guys did. I could be tough. Later, my friend told me that it had been a fight between two gangs, the Lynch Mob and the Kings. Before I saw that fight, school had been about learning. I thought the only thing I had to worry about was being a good student and being well behaved. The fight on the bridge was the flicker of something I didn't understand about my environment to come that would leave me terrified. I thought for sure that this fight had to be once in a lifetime thing. As I prepared for middle school, I hoped and prayed that I would never see anything that big and uncontrollable ever again.